caught my fiancée cheating, so I dumped her and slept with her best friend. She's now depressed and I'm living my best life. This is gonna be a long story, just so you know. My fiancée cheated on me now 7 months ago. We started dating when I was 23, she was 22. She was my first love and I thought she would be my only. We had been living together for 3 years and had been engaged for 1 year but hadn't really planned a wedding yet, but we were going to. We were in a bit of a down in our relationship, but I just thought that every relationship has those times and I still loved her with all my heart. Looking back, there were signs she had an affair, but at the time I really couldn't fathom she would do something like that. One day I got home early back from work around lunchtime, which normally never happened. I knew she had a free day at home and didn't let her know as to kinda surprise her, and maybe we could have lunched together somewhere or something. When I got home I saw clothes laying around and heard some noises coming from the bedroom. I already felt something was wrong. With my heart in my throat and legs shaking, I walked up the stairs to our bedroom. The door was slightly open and I saw my GF on her fours with her sass up getting effed by another guy. They both didn't notice me, they were facing me with their backs. I just stood there totally in shock for what I think was 5 to 10 seconds but felt an hour. I didn't confront them and walked out our house, got in the car and drove to some parking lot. There I just cried the soul out my body for hours until I felt totally numb. When I got home in the evening my GF pretended like nothing happened. As cold as I could I said I wanted to break up. She started crying and asked for an explanation, but I didn't want to give her one and told her I wanted to have her out of the house in a week and that until that time I would sleep somewhere else. The house was in my name, so that helped. I walked away and blocked her on everything. I told my closest friends and family what had happened but asked them to keep that for themselves and to have no contact with my now ex-GF. I could stay at a friend's house for that first week, and when I got home my GF had thankfully left. That first month after was the hardest month of my life. I was absolutely heartbroken and friends and family of my ex-GF tried to contact me for an explanation and I got some hateful comments as well. There were times where I just wanted them to F off and reply to them that she cheated and she should get all the hate. But I just ignored and blocked them all. The most difficult was when her parents tried to contact me because over the years I had created a strong bond with them and really saw them as my second parents, but I also ignored them. They weren't hateful or anything and just wanted to talk, but I refused. One of my ex-GF best friends, let's call her M, and I had gotten quite close with each other over the years and would call her a good friend of my own too. She wanted to get in touch with me a few times but I refused, but after a month M contacted me again and said she just wanted to talk and said she actually had had an argument with my ex-GF too but wouldn't want to tell me why over the phone. I invited her over and eventually told her what had happened and why I broke up with my GF. I also told them that I knew she must have known about the affair of my ex-GF and that I understand she didn't want to betray her friend by telling about it to me. I didn't really wanted to be friends with her too. Em then started crying and said she wanted to tell me and that she had felt very conflicted about it. It was also the reason Em and my ex had had an argument, as Em had told my ex that she didn't know why I broke up with her but that she deserved it. We talked some longer and ended up sleeping together. Em eventually told my ex and they aren't really friends anymore and it kinda broke up their friend group. Also, I wrote a letter to the parents of my ex explaining everything and telling them I was heartbroken by the situation and that I always had loved them, wished things would have been different. I got a letter back how they understood, that they always thought I was the perfect son-in-law and that they are very disappointed in their daughter and wish me the best. That all was about 5 to 7 months ago, and last week I heard my ex had gotten really depressed and is in therapy now. The best thing maybe is that I don't even really think about her anymore and I don't really feel hatred, resentment or sadness about her anymore. When I heard that she was depressed I didn't really care and maybe even felt some sense of pity for her. Anyway, 6 months later I dodged a bullet and I'm happy while she is depressed, having lost a loving partner, friends and has disappointed parents. TLDR, my GF cheated on me and now she is depressed while I'm happy. Some comments: good job man, and way to go on hooking up with her friend. I had one chance to that myself and I did not. My ex's friend was so hot and she was a stripper. She came like 2 hours after we broke up to see how I'm doing and she literally looked me in the eyes and said if she can give me oral. Should have taken the offer. Still kick myself for it 7 years later. You got revenge and saved yourself from a horrible marriage. Good job man. Says a lot about you relishing in someone else's downfall. Maybe she saw that aspect of you and she dodged a bullet. She will get past depression and may come out of therapy on the other side a better person. You may stay yourself and fail in one relationship after another. Other women will see this side of your character and be smart enough to move on. Think what she did was totally wrong and she will regret it. But she will forgive herself and others will forgive her. If you remain the person you are, good luck. Once a jacksass, always a jacksass. Story 2. Hey everyone, long-time lurker, first-time poster here. I never thought I'd be the one to spill my story on a confession subreddit, but here we are. To cut a long story short, my fiancée and I have been together for 5 years. Every year, she goes on this girls only trip with her close friends. Something in my gut had been bothering me about these trips. Maybe it was the slight changes in her behavior afterward or the cryptic conversations I'd overhear. Instead of directly confronting her, I did something I'm deeply ashamed of. I hired a private investigator to watch her during her recent trip. I got back the results a few days ago, and as much as I regret violating her privacy, my suspicions were not unfounded. The PI presented evidence of her being unfaithful. It shattered my heart. Now, I'm caught in this storm of emotions. On one hand, I deeply regret snooping and not trusting her enough to talk about it. On the other, the betrayal from her side feels even more significant. I love her, but I can't see a future together anymore. How do I even approach this situation? Do I confess my snooping? Or just end things without revealing the reason? Any advice is welcome. Some relevant comments. She's been cheating on you, then coming home to you like nothing happened, effectively stealing your time away from you to be happy building a future with a woman you'd actually want to be with forever. And you're mad your intuition saved you since she wouldn't. Play it smart. Don't let her know what's up until you have all your ducks in a row. Who she is, and who you thought she was, the version you love are not the same. Who you love right now does not exist. That's what you're grieving. Not the shell that looks like her that you need to get out of your life. Move on, dude. When she asks why, say I know you're cheating on me and leave it at that. Don't tell her anything else. Her punishment is never knowing how you know. When you completely stump her and she has no idea how you know, she'll start yelling at you, accusing you of all kinds of crap, telling you suck in bed and she needed more, that you have a small joystick, whatever, anything to get you to scream back. Don't lose your cool. Keep it together and just leave. Then ghost her. You're done. Here. Update. Hey everyone. I've received many messages asking about the situation and I thought it was only right to keep those who cared in the loop. When my fiancée returned from her trip, I tried my best to handle things maturely. I gave her a chance to be honest, asking if there was anything she wanted to share about her trip. Instead of coming clean, she gaslit me, making me question my own perceptions and reality. Having the evidence I had, I confronted her about the affair. She was taken aback and immediately asked how I knew. I told her the truth, that I hired a PI. I didn't want to falsely accuse any of her friends as some of you suggested, even though, honestly, part of me was tempted. She was furious. I've never seen her that angry in all our years together. Additionally, feeling it was the right thing to do, I shared the evidence with one of her friend's boyfriends so he could be informed and consider getting tested, if necessary. It was clear to both of us that our relationship had reached a breaking point. We broke up right then. Despite it being my house that I've financially covered for us, I left and checked into a hotel, giving her space and asking her to pack her things and move out. We didn't communicate for a few days. When she finally reached out, she expressed a desire to talk and perhaps find a way to mend things. But the trust was broken, and I couldn't see a future for us. I told her no. And now, the part I didn't see coming, she's considering pursuing palimony payments. For those unaware, palimony is financial support provided to a partner in a non-marital relationship after separation. I've been informed that due to the relationship laws in our state, this could very well be a real concern. I've initiated the process of hiring a lawyer. During our relationship, I took on the majority of the financial responsibilities, including the mortgage. We had an unspoken understanding my money is our money. Her money is her money due to our significant income differential. I never thought that my generosity would come back to haunt me. There it is, the update many of you asked for. I wish I had a happier conclusion to this chapter, but life has its twists and turns. It seems she might have the upper hand in this final act, but I'm hoping for a fair resolution. Thank you for the support and advice, it has really meant a lot. Relevant comments. I hope that the palimony does not materialize. It may not feel like it, but it's better to know now rather than a few years, and kids potentially down the road. Good luck to you. Just some advice, in your next relationship, do everything 50/50 until you're married. Less likely to attract greedy women that way. Even after getting married, my husband and I still spend pretty much 50/50. I spoil him here and there, because I make double what he makes and I just enjoy spoiling him. But he never asks for it and always thanks me for whatever I've done for him. The 50/50 thing was my idea, even though my husband insisted on paying by himself at first. As well, make sure you don't add any woman's name to the house until you've been married a good few years. Anything that's of value to you should be in your name. and your name only. As for palimony, is this some new American thing? It sounds so ridiculous. She cheated, so keep it as evidence and share how heartbroken and emotionally damaged you are at the palimony hearing. Countersue for pain and suffering, maybe mental anguish. Good luck. Hope she doesn't get a dime. Story 3. Hello everyone. My husband and I have been married for 4 years and together for 6, and this is the very first huge argument we've ever had. I, 24 female, am currently 33 weeks pregnant with his, 31 male, baby. When I was 20 weeks pregnant, my doctor diagnosed me with placenta previa, which if you don't know is basically when the placenta for my baby is covering the opening in my cervix. They told me it would likely move as my baby grew, but it never did. So I am scheduled for a C-section in just 3 weeks. At 20 weeks I was put on very light restrictions, but at 30 I got put on heavier restrictions, like no running, no lifting or climbing, no standing for longer than 3 hours at a time, and most importantly no lovemaking and no V exams, because my doctor told me that we want absolutely nothing to potentially make me bleed, which could lead to preterm birth. So I have been doing this all for 3 weeks, but it has been driving my husband effing insane. Every single day he bothers me for sex. Every single day. Every single day I tell him I can't and remind him of the restrictions. I don't even want to make love anyway, my tummy is so big and I am always exhausted. He doesn't really like those answers. Finally, he came to me and started going on about how doctors sometimes dramatize things for the sake of their careers and more money. He said they push for C-sections. I was like, okay, whatever, but I know that I have this condition. Obviously, I am going to follow the rules. He didn't take the answer and we ended up having sex. For a few hours after, I was having really heavy bleeding and I got so scared. I was crying in the bathroom, trying to figure out what to do. I ended up calling my doctor and she told me to come in right away. The whole car ride there I was just sobbing, imagining that in an hour I would be having a C-section for an only 33-week-old baby. We quickly figured out that I am not in preterm labor, I was just bleeding, and as long as it stops it will be okay. It did and I am fine. But while I was there, my doctor asked my husband to leave and started asking me questions. She asked me if I did anything I wasn't supposed to do. She was like, this isn't accusatory. It's okay. It's just better to know if it was caused by something or random. I told her that I had sex. She just went over all the things again and then gave me a bunch of information on domestic violence. She put them in my purse for me, literally. I was so embarrassed. When we got into the car I broke down and yelled at my husband, telling him to never do that to me again and telling him that my doctor knows more than him and knows what is best for me and the baby. He apologized and I could tell he really meant it. I have still been holding a grudge for days and he's been groveling for days. He asked me how long I was gonna make him apologize. I told him at least until the baby is born. Am I the idiot for that? Update. I wasn't originally going to make an update just because I was getting into specific detail about my life, and I didn't want anyone I know in real life to find it. But I will because I don't know why actually. I guess I just got some really good comments. I posted this about 7 hours ago and I cannot believe how many people have responded. I don't know if I could ever say thank you enough to such thoughtful strangers on the internet. So originally my plan was to tell my doctor and my SIL, maybe my brother, but I wasn't looking forward to discussing those details with him. I rescheduled my weekly appointment with my doctor for TMR. I know some people said I would be able to just walk in, but I didn't want to do it and then make some excuse to my husband. The comments made me realize the severity of the situation and honestly I am terrified. So I called my SIL when she got off work and we had a really long conversation. I mentioned in the comments, but my SIL and brother have never really liked my husband, especially my SIL. She was very supportive and kind and we talked for a long time. I guess I can admit now that it wasn't just love making, it was RP. We talked about that more than anything else, and she cleared the whole confusion thing up very quickly. I told her a lot of the things my mom excused because she likes my husband, and my SIL was livid. I guess I kinda knew she always would be, which is why I never told her. She ended up telling me to talk to my doctor and she will talk to my brother and we will see what's going on. She said she will come down on the soonest flight, but my brother cannot come yet because they do have children of their own. I was content with that though, and my appointment with my doctor is tomorrow. So my husband got home kinda early and saw how I was upset. I really was planning on getting myself together before he came home, but I did not have time. Still, I was not going to tell him anything, but he was being so kind, which he really usually is. I know that's hard to believe, but it's true, but today especially he was so kind and so worried about me. I know it was stupid to explain the situation, but I did. I don't know why. I'm just used to telling him my problems, I guess. It was a mistake and I know that. I am really trying not to be so stupid anymore, but it's hard to switch from thinking about him as my loving and caring husband to my husband who is hurting me. So I told him that, and how he hurt me, and honestly I am scared now. He was like, what? How? I said, by forcing me to have sex, by literally forcing my legs apart and telling me to calm down. He was like, oh my effing god, don't effing say that. That's a crime, do you understand that? Do you understand you just accused me of martial abuse and pushed me away from him? I started to apologize, and he started to say it was okay and do that thing where he acts like I'm dumb again. So I finally like, yeah, actually, I really do understand that now. It isn't right and it is martial abuse. It resulted in a huge argument once again. He called me an idiot for even daring to say those words. I called him an abuser and he literally laughed. He was like, who are you talking to? You don't know what you're talking about, and started to go on and on about things I don't know about. He said love making with his wife isn't abuse, no matter how you split it. I ended up trying to just walk away, but he grabbed me by my wrist. I snatched my hand away and he held up his hands, was like, oh, I'm sorry. That might be considered battery of a pregnant woman, if we're going by your definitions. The condescending tone is what really drove me to the edge, and I told him I don't want to be around him. He was like, fine, I'll go. I said, no, I want to go. I want to be away from you. He threw the credit card at me and told me to go get a hotel then. So I did. And here I am, typing this now. And my SIL is on her way right now, but I am so far from okay. He's called me several times, but I won't answer. I've never seen him that angry before. I am slightly concerned what he will do if I genuinely tell him I want to leave and take the baby. He is the one who wanted to have a child, and I was convinced. It won't let me take her easily, and that terrifies me. Every time my daughter kicks, I just want to sob. I never thought that my own baby would make me cry like this, but I am just so scared. Also, I am just now opening this PDF everyone linked, but it's already making a lot of sense. Thank you very much for that. Final update. This one is quick and for the people who wanted me to verify that I am okay. I genuinely don't know what to say about the amount of support I got. Thank you so very much. August 7th I posted my update, and I mentioned having Braxton Hicks for the first time. I was urged to go to the hospital. I originally wasn't going to, but thank goodness that I did, because by the time I walked in the door, I was bleeding so heavily it was down my legs. Turns out I had a placental abruption. August 7th at 10:37 p.m., my daughter was born via emergency C-section. She is now only less than old as I post this, but I am being forced to deal with an attorney and all of this already. She was only 33 weeks and 5 days when she was born. She is tiny, but still doing relatively well, so they tell me. She is in the NICU now, and I am in the hospital still as well. I have received lots of care, and while it is all scary and hard, seeing my daughter makes it better. I'm fine, I will be fine, and so will she. The nurses here are amazing, and the doctor told me as long as everything goes well, I get to take my daughter home in just a few weeks. As for my situation, my SIL came shortly after my daughter was born, and she's been by my side all day, and very supportive. The attorney advised us to allow my husband visitation with my daughter while she is still in the NICU, so I did. I do not have a concern of him hurting our daughter while in the hospital or anything like that. I have received lots of supportive messages from his coworkers and his side of the family, so I am sure he is spinning the story that we are together and everything is fine. He is trying to act like that too. He's seen our daughter several times today, and I think that he was in the hospital with me during the C-section, but I am honestly not sure. He came up to my room this morning while the nurses were helping me take that first walk after the C-section. I was just emotional enough to let him in. I have to be honest and say it wasn't easy to try and hate him after all of this. I still let him comfort me and I still cried to him. But at the end, when he said you wouldn't have had to do this alone if you weren't acting that way, and grabbed my face to make me kiss him, it reminded me of why exactly I am doing this. So yeah, I am not so sure what I am going to do. Originally, I really wanted to have my daughter in my home state so that I could stay there with her and my SIL and brother, but I highly doubt my husband will allow me to take her there. My attorney says I have options, and the options are heavily in my favor, as I did what you all suggested and got the medical records of the abuses, including the one I posted about and 2 more I went to the hospital for over the years, as well as in writing my doctor saying that my placental abruption was likely caused by trauma and stress for custody, and stuff like that, but likely only here where we currently live. Honestly, that's okay. Being able to briefly hold my baby and seeing her and loving her so much has replaced much else in my mind. I want to be safe, but I want her safe most of all. I won't do anything to put her in the situation I was in. She is only 16 hours old and she is all I think about, and will ever think about for the rest of my life. I probably won't update again, as I am hoping they will let me spend more time with my daughter soon, but I just wanted to say that this whole post literally changed my life, and I cannot say thank you enough. If anyone else finds themselves in this sort of situation, I wanna say do not be scared to speak up. And if anyone has survived it, you're so brave. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you really like our videos, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Have a good day.